Hey, I was thinking. So I wanted to come on here and talk to you. Now, first of all, I just told you not too long ago that you probably would not hear from me again before Thanksgiving, but something happened. I received a phone call, and the person on the other end said, "Come on and get your book." So you all know how much I love books. So I went and got my book, and here I am. I will tell you about the book in a moment. But this past weekend, in my previous video, I talked about joy and trying to find things that I delight in every day. And this past Saturday, I participated in a Zoom meeting or Zoom webinar where they had Hannah Nicole. Her name is Nicole Hannah Jones. Why am I calling her Hannah Nicole? Hannah Nicole would be pretty too, but it's Nicole Hannah Jones. She was interviewed by Cleveland's own Connie Hill, who is the board president for the Cleveland Foundation. And they talked about her book, The 1619 Project, and other projects that she has going on. But being a participant, we were given the book. So that's what I went to pick up from the library today. I cannot wait to get into this book. This book is almost 500 pages, which is why I hadn't read it yet. I may have to listen to it because that's a lot. I may need to be driving somewhere that's going to take me 6-7 hours to get to and listen to it. But I am excited to listen to this book or read it and learn about our history. But I was thinking about something she said. Now, I've seen Nicole Hannah Jones before. She had come to Case Western Reserve University for one of our Dr. Martin Luther King programs. And at that time, she hadn't finished the book. She was working on it, and she was dynamic then. So I knew when the book came out, it was something that I would want to read. And I'm glad that I got a chance to see her being interviewed again. But I was thinking about something she said. Someone asked her the question about her experience. And I don't know if you saw in the news when she was to work as a professor for the University of North Carolina, and they didn't want to give her tenure. And she threatened, if they didn't. And so they ended up giving her tenure, if I'm not mistaken, but she decided to go teach at Howard University, a historically Black college or university, I guess I should say. And I was thinking about, it's a shame that even with her work, being a Pulitzer Prize winner, that they didn't even want to give her tenure. But she said something that really made me think. It stopped me in my tracks. She said, in order to be successful in white spaces, we have to endure suffering, meaning Black people. In order for Black people to be successful in white spaces, we have to endure suffering. And so I thought about that. I thought about it with my own life, right? I am an engineer. I'm a Black woman. And I can tell you the challenges that I had being a Black woman, being a woman engineer, a Black person, being a woman engineer. I never thought of it as suffering, but when I look back, it really was. Having to code switch and not being your authentic self, not able to bring who you are to the workspace because you don't want to be judged. You don't want to, you want to fit in, when the reality, we're all meant to stand out. But it is suffering when you can't be true to who you are. I laugh because a lot of times people look at me and they're like, "You're such a professional." And I am, but I'm also a little hood too. It's like, I like rap, I rap. I won't do that for you all here, but do know that I can rap the entire song to I Get Around by Tupac and the Digital Underground. Like, that is my jam. I do everybody's part. But there are some songs that I like that people probably would be surprised that I do. I also like to cuss. Now, do I just go around cussing all the time and cussing people out? No. But there are times where I feel like cussing. And so I do. My dad was a cusser. He was a great cusser. I learned from him. But, the thing is that when you go to a workplace, there are times where you can't bring your full self there. At least that's what we're taught, or what we learn throughout the years, just trying to fit in. And I realized that there was a lot of suffering that went on. Now, I will say this, as a Black person, being able to be here, knowing what my ancestors went through, that lets me know that we're resilient. You know, I never thought of it as suffering because I just thought of it as part of the game, you know, what I had to do in order to get to where I needed to go. And I realized that once I started being true to myself and brought the person that I was at home to work too, things changed for me. So I just wanted to share that with you because I thought that that was pretty interesting. And I wanted to share this too with my friends who are not Black or who may not be a part of a minority group, because I know you don't understand what we go through. You know, a lot of times what you know about Black people is the few that you may know and what you see on TV. And the reality is that just like we have to get to know who you are, you need to get to know who we are as well. I was listening to an interview yesterday, and there was, I forget what group of legislators this was, but they were asking the president of Tennessee State University, Dr. Glover, why is her enrollment so high? She said, you know, part of it is because of the culture being at a historically Black college and university. You have the band. You know, Tennessee State has they were nominated for 2 Grammy Awards. So, I mean, you know, it could be that, or it could be the fact that people feel at home. They can be who they are and feel welcomed and valued and seen. I know for me, when I was in college, I didn't feel any of that. Mind you, I was here in Cleveland, I lived in Cleveland, at school in Cleveland, and still did not feel home. I remember I would have to fight for everything that I got. And I'm glad that I learned it eventually, but it took me some years before I realized that. And the only way I realized it is because I started getting to know people who didn't look like me, right? So if an exam is graded on a scale, the scale needs to be fair for everybody. So if I get an 82 and that's an A for someone else, but it's a B for me, then I need to go and find out why. You know, there were times where I may get an 85 and get a B, someone to get an 83 and get an A. And I only know that because I started having friendships and I would ask because I saw what was going on. But it's something to always feel like you have to fight, always, especially in the workplace. Like that's where we spend a lot of our awake time, right? We spend more time at work than we do with our families typically on a work day. And I think about my male friends, my Black male friends, because, and I'm not saying that it's not the same for Black women, but it's a whole nother level of suffering that they have to go through because people are intimidated. I think about my friends. I remember I had a friend who is a tall, big, brown skinned guy. Now, he can't change the fact that he's brown skinned. That's going to be. He can't change the fact that he's tall. But he started doing things so that he can become smaller. So instead of being this muscular guy, he started doing yoga and Pilates to thin himself out so that people weren't intimidated by him. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? But this is what people have to do in order to fit in so that they can have success in spaces that really don't want them there. And so going back to Nikole Hannah-Jones, when she was asked about that and the reason why she chose to go to Howard University, she said, you know, this is a place where she felt at home. She felt like that place was made for her. And because of that, like she's happy that things turned out the way that it did because she didn't know that she could be in spaces that were made for us. And I just wanted to share that story with you. Also share the book because I will hope that you will pick it up one day just to learn history as well. Now this, I really just get blown away by, sorry about that, because the sun is here. She is a Pulitzer Prize winner. And yet it is not enough. And the reason is because she chooses to share the history of this country, the good and the bad. And one of the things that I would, that we all know is that we need to know history so that we don't repeat it. I just read on the news yesterday that it's 32 states that have banned books from the library. 32. Like, why wouldn't you want to know what this country was built on? What happened in the past? Why not? It only can make us better because we now will know what not to do, what did not work, and we can do better. But this is the country we live in. It's frustrating, it's disappointing, and it causes suffering. All right, I'm out of here. I probably, I'm going to say probably, will not be back before Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving again. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your time with your family, yourself, whomever you're with. And then I'll chat back with you next week. All right, take care. Bye-bye.